Hello everybody, this is Alan with HeadphoneReviewHQ.com, and today I'm reviewing the Fiio E09K desktop headphone amplifier. So a quick run through of the unboxing. Here you can see the packaging's pretty decent. Nothing all that exciting, but it is done well and it keeps the product nice, safe, and sound. So let's tear into it. Two boxes in here. This first box we have a couple of cables. And we have the additional set of bumper pads for the bottom. And in the second box, here we have the star of the show. Here's the Fiio E09 desktop headphone amplifier. And the instruction manual that comes with it is actually pretty decent. They do a good job of diagramming and letting you know how you can hook this thing up. So here we go. As with all Fiio products that I review, especially anything that, gets over about 40 or 50 bucks, they do a really nice job finishing. And compared to the old E9, you'll notice there's only one headphone input on this, and it is a 1/4 inch input. And on the other side, where there used to be another input, is your switch for your dock in or your auxiliary in. And the dial itself, again, is got the nice finish on it. And here you can see that this one clicks on and off for me. The old E9 that I have, it did not. Like, I couldn't power it off, and other people have said it was broken, but I never could get it to work. Here on the top you have the connector, the dock adapter for a Fiio E7 or E17 portable headphone amplifier. And I just want to show you the finish on this. Again, I mean, they just do a beautiful job. And there's the bumpers. And here on the back, here we go. So from your left to right, you have your power input, which comes from that wall wart. You got your USB in, your gain, high and low. Oh, and they do provide the USB cable for you. You have your pre-outs. You have your line out. And you have your auxiliary in. And you'll notice these are gold plated. And they do fit snugly with all the cables I've used. So they did a nice job on the build quality on these as well, which I would expect. Pretty much the build's been just outstanding on anything I've received from Fiio. So here the pre-out, when you hook up to that, the volume will actually control the output on whatever you hook it up to. The line out is a fixed level output. The volume will not control that. And the auxiliary input is so you can hook up your iPod, your iPad, your iPhone, maybe an Android device, any kind of external MP3 player. And here is this huge power supply that this is the same gripe I had with the E9. This thing is massive. I mean, it is seriously just crazy thick. And here I'm showing you the actual electrical specs. I'm actually considering buying like a wall wart from Walmart or something to replace this with. But here, look, it's almost as tall as the amp itself. It's just obnoxious, but, hey, I guess you can't have it all. And here you'll see this is the USB cable they provide, so you don't have to go out and buy another cable to make anything work if you're trying to use the E7 or the E17. That comes packaged, and that's pretty much what's in the box. So now I'm going to do a little demo of how this whole thing works. The auxiliary in is going to my iPhone. And then the pre-out I am having run over to my M-Audio speakers to the auxiliary in. This does not power them. This is just sending the audio signal. This would be like hooking it up to the back. Notice that my cable is pretty long. You don't want a long cable. I'm only doing this because I use this cable in other places in my house, but if you know that you're going to have one sitting there at your dock for your iPhone, get a shorter cable. Also note, because I'm using my iPhone here, I need to have this on the auxiliary input, which points, not the dock in. The dock in is actually for using the E17 or the E7 on the top. So the auxiliary in actually uses the cable on the back, which I'm pointing to up there. I'm going to go ahead and hook up my headphones here and get this demo started. Now notice, this is kind of like a receiver. When you power it on, you get the initial red, and then it kind of clicks like a lot of Onkyo receivers or something do to turn on the amp. Now here I'm showing you the biodynamic T1s, which I'm using. They're a 600 ohm, 102 decibel sensitivity headphone, and they require some juice, so I'm going to set this to the high gain setting. Now here I'm showing you listening with the headphones on right now, with the line pointed towards the O on the Fiio. That's a moderate level. Right here, this is insanely loud. Like, you would never want to go that loud. This is a pretty moderate to loud level, and going up, this thing just has power in reserve to push these things. Okay, so here I'm going to show you I'm using the pre-out. The volume control on the amplifier using the pre-out adjusts the volume on both the M audio speaker, because it's adjusting the input that goes in, and on the headphones. So as I turn this up and down, it is actually turning up and down the speakers and the headphones. Now I'm going to switch over to the line out. You'll notice the cable moved over slightly. The volume does affect the volume on the headphones, but it does not change the volume on the M audios. And that is because the M audios are getting a fixed signal coming out of the back using the line out instead of the pre-out. So that's important to know. And here I'm going to demonstrate using the Fiio E17 docked into it. And you'll notice something pretty sweet here. So I've got it in there. When I turn this on, bam, it turns on the E17. So if you leave this thing docked, it will actually power your E17, charge it, and do all that, and it will use it as a DAC. And notice here, I have to change from auxiliary in to the dock in. And now that switches up to using the Fiio E17. Now when you have this thing plugged into the top, you only have coax, optical, and USB available. You will not have your auxiliary input available. Alright, so here I'm going to show you, I go up into the devices and printers, then I hit hardware and sound, and then I come over here and I say manage audio devices. Now here you're going to notice I'm looking through this list, and in the list I'm not finding my E17. Well, one thing I found that was happening is the E17, when sitting in the dock, when it laid back, it wasn't getting a connection to my computer. You'll see that it's showing up and then disappearing in my list up there. Now what I did is I crammed in that little cover that came with the RCA things, and it worked fine. I was able to get it to show up in there, and you'll notice down here, that is, if you want to change over to using the E17, that's my default device. I'm going to right click the E17 and do set as default device. And now I'll be able to listen to music from my computer through the E09K. So that's up and working now. But that is just, something to be aware of. I don't know if all of the E09Ks are going to have that problem, but whatever. Here I'm demonstrating that, again, like with the E9 as well, when you turn up the volume on the amp, that will control the volume on your headphones and your speakers, as well as the volume on the E17. So one thing you could do is you can turn your E17 all the way up if you wanted, and then you could just use the volume control on the dial, which I prefer actually. You can use the volume control on the dial to fine tune how loud you want it to go, but that's up to you. And here's the nice thing about using the E17 is you can actually use the bass, the treble, and all the EQ settings on it. So that's another good thing. Here I wanted to show you, they have like a little bumper that sits behind where the E17 or the E7 dock. And I think to fix the problem, all I'd really have to do is probably put like a thicker rubber piece there, or maybe put some other kind of padding that would make the E17 lean forward a little bit. So now that I've gone over all that, that's how you use it. Let's talk a little bit about the sound quality of this thing. So I did a lot of A/B testing, both against my iPhone, against my MacBook Pro, and here's what I've found. First, the main job of an amplifier is to be able to put out more power so that you can, drive your devices. This thing has way more power than you'll ever need. On the T1s from Biodynamic, they're a 600 ohm set of headphones. These things absolutely, they would just, you'd make your eardrums bleed if you ever tried to turn it up as loud as it would go. I mean, at about the halfway mark, it was louder than what you should probably listen. Now, as far as the sound quality, when I compared it to my iPhone 3GS, what I found was when listening to the iPhone, it actually sounded pretty good on the T1s. Now, they wouldn't go that loud. I mean, they were moderate at best. But when comparing at the same volume, the E09K was much more accurate in the bass. It wasn't as bloated. The notes actually decayed properly. They were extremely accurate and clean. The mids had a touch more mid-range on the E09K than it did on my iPhone 3GS, and the highs, again, just a touch more detail. Using the E09K was definitely an upgrade to the sound. Now, when I compared to my MacBook Pro, again, in the bass, I found that the same thing happened. The bass was much cleaner through the E09K. And, you know, again, just much more accurate. The notes decayed properly, and when they came on, they didn't sound bloated at all. The mid-range was actually a little bit surprising, and I've noticed this before on my Mac Pro, is the mids seem to be accentuated a little bit on my MacBook Pro. They actually seem to level out a little bit when using the E09K, and that's more of the natural sound that I would expect from the headphones that I was using. So it brought those down a notch, and then the treble seemed to be about the same. So now here's the big difference, both with the iPhone 3GS and my MacBook Pro. Where the 3GS and the MacBook Pro gave out on power, this thing again would just take these and power them with plenty of room to go. This thing will give you just beautiful, very neutral sounding frequency response. These T1s are extremely sensitive and the most accurate set of headphones I've ever listened to, and everything sounded absolutely beautiful playing through the E09K. So I highly recommend it. This has been Alan with HeadphoneReviewHQ.com. I hope you enjoyed this review of the Fiio E09K desktop headphone amplifier. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the form below. I'll get back to you as soon as I possibly can. I personally reply to each and every statement that I get. If you did enjoy this review, please leave me a thumbs up. That always helps. And, share it with your friends on Facebook, Twitter, wherever you happen to share things. And if you do plan on buying this headphone amplifier, please use my affiliate links below. You won't get charged any more. I never send you to a place that's not reputable. All that does is give me credit for sending you their way, and it helps me bring you more reviews in the near future. So again, I appreciate you stopping by and watching this video, and I'll be bringing more to you here in the near future. So subscribe to my channel, and I'll be seeing you soon. Thanks.